Do you want to go for a tour of our garden? So we are dealing with all of the fires on the West Coast, up and down everywhere. Washington, Oregon, and California are insane. I have family that was evacuated recently, and this is just blown in from eastern Washington, and it hasn't gone anywhere. It gets worse. This is actually a pretty nice day. So I might be wearing a mask later, we'll see, just trying to keep the ash and stuff out of my lungs, but let's take a walk around, you guys. One of the pretty cool parts of our garden this year, I thought, was this trellis. We wanted to go really natural, and you can't get a whole lot more natural than just some pine branches that broke off one of the trees across the way. So there's Kentucky Wonder green beans on there, and they're actually trapping the nitrogen out of the air to feed the companion plant, which is the zinnia. This is a giant zinnia here, as you can tell. It's man, it's got to be 4 foot tall. This is one of Laura's favorite contraptions here too. So doing pretty good, pretty awesome. The structure's starting to get really heavy with beans, and it's going to start falling over if we don't harvest soon, so we should probably get to that. Although look at these seed beans, you guys. That's going to produce some massive seeds. So another super cool part of our garden this year, I thought, was companion planting with flowers. Personally, I have never done it. And these marigolds, don't pay attention to the tomatoes, they all have blight. Everything else is doing great. The marigolds repel pests, and they're just gorgeous, you guys. They have been so prolific this year. This is a regular marigold, and check this out. This is a firecracker marigold over here. Look at how tall this thing is. Look at this thing. It's huge. The thing that we did discover this year is that we can grow greens year-round. Well, maybe not in winter, but in the heat of summer we can still grow them here. Look at this. This is prism kale. It's obviously doing fantastically. This is 4 plants. Might be 5 in there. This is Swiss chard. All sorts of different varieties in here. Here we've got one going to seed. We'll collect a couple thousand seeds off of this one. I can't keep up with it. It's just doing incredibly well. Massive leaves. Massive leaves. You can make a whole salad out of that, right? Usually in a hot environment you can't grow greens like this. They'll all start to bolt. This one did, but the rest of them are all doing just fine. If you're in a really hot environment, you won't be able to do this. You'll only be able to grow them in the spring and fall. But so this is a pretty awesome discovery. So one really cool experiment that we did this year was a Native American way of growing called the Three Sisters. It includes corn, beans, and a fall squash. And the corn grows obviously vertical, giving the beans something to trellis on. The beans capture the nitrogen in the air, that feeds the corn, and then the squash sprawls along everything, as you can tell, and it prevents weeds. There's virtually no weeds underneath all that because it's just a mat. But it's awesome. We've had a fantastic corn harvest already. Beans are ready to be picked again, and the squash is just, it's out of control. It never ends. We had a perfect amount of squash, one of like each type. 5 different types maybe, and we were planning our whole summer and winter harvest on that. And then we had some volunteers that grew out of the compost, and I lovingly let them grow. And now we have tons. We're giving it away. Come on down. This is another cool vegetable. This is a Cacuzzi squash, you guys. Look at the size of this thing. Absolutely huge. And there's tons of them in there. There's so many of them in there actually that we're going to have to re-engineer our entire arch. So this is an extremely prolific grower. If you grow this and you have intentions of doing something like this, great choice. Works great. There's also a butternut squash in there, a spaghetti squash in there. Down here some beautiful nasturtiums. Pretty cool. I'm waiting for a hobbit to come walking out of there. Wow, look at the beans. I totally forgot about the beans. Goodness. Gotta get to harvesting those too. So what is this? This is supposed to be a Hungarian paprika pepper, which we believe was supposed to turn to a light orange and then into a red for your basic Hungarian paprika. However, it has stayed white and or yellow, depending upon which plant you look at. Look at how many of them are in there. They're huge. Every plant. Look at this monstrosity. They're everywhere. And don't ever believe that old seeds won't grow, because these beans here we got from a garage sale someplace over north of Seattle or something, and they were supposed to be like 10 or 15 years old, and I didn't think they would grow. So look what they've done to the trellis. This is supposed to be way up here. Oh, I don't know. Holy smokes. Center support. So another really cool thing about the garden this year is the squash have been just going crazy. This is supposed to be a spaghetti squash, and I don't think that looks like one at all to me. It does seem to have hardened up, passes the thumbnail test, but the stem is still green. So I do know that for at least a spaghetti squash, you can use the thumbnail test, and if they're soft and you press on it, you'll pierce the skins. When they're ready and you press on it, it won't do any damage, like this one here. I can press on that and nothing happens. So I guess that one's ready to go. We'll cut into it and see what happens. This thing is like 23 feet long, you guys. Look at this. Here's another one down here. This one's super, super soft. If I press on that, my thumbnail goes right in there. So we'll give that one a little more time. But it's been a great year for them. Great year for them. Not a good year for tomatoes. Look at our poor tomatoes, you guys. Make a grown man cry. So just a tip, you guys. If you're into harvesting seeds or think you might want to be, there was a huge rush on seeds this year, especially after COVID hit and people got locked down and things got a little crazy there. So if you let some of your produce go from when it's ripe to when it's really overripe, this will have a lot of great seeds in it. And you can just take this, bring it inside the house, just chop it up a little bit, open it up some way, scoop out the pulp, just rinse it out in a colander a little bit till you get the seeds. And then I would set them on like a coffee filter would be my best choice. I wouldn't use a paper towel because they like to stick to them, but it does work. Dry those out, make sure they're really, really dry, put them in a bag. The biggest enemy is moisture, so you don't want them to rot. But you could easily get 50 to 100 seeds out of this cucumber, I bet. You'd be set for next year. So this is our little cucumber patch. We show you the 3 different cucumbers we're growing. This is a 𝙒𝘼𝙔𝙬 blonde. It's a really sweet little tiny tender thing here. And then this is an 𝙎𝙬𝘋𝙋𝙊𝙍. This is a little bit overgrown. This is a great pickling cucumber. It's perfect size for on a salad or something. They do get very large if you let them keep going. And then this one over here, this is a diva cucumber, and as you can tell, there's hardly any spines on it whatsoever. Cool thing about divas is they don't need a male companion flower to be pollinated. Pretty neat. So this is the 𝙒𝘼𝙔𝙬 blonde. I think this is probably the best snacking one. It's really sweet and tender, especially when you get them really small. If you're going to be making pickles or relish or anything like that, then you probably want to go with the 𝙎𝙬𝘋𝙋𝙊𝙍. This is also a really crispy, good pickle. Laura's going to be making some of these very soon from the looks of things. And then the diva, man, it's kind of like a straight 8. It's just a good all-purpose slicing cucumber. So I will definitely grow these two again. And the diva is just so easy. It's pretty convenient. Probably grow all 3 of them again next year. Peppers. our poblanos, jalapenos, and bell peppers have all, oh, we got the Hungarian paprika peppers back there too. All of them doing fantastic. They might be a tiny bit undersized, but it's been a really weird year. It was so cold and so wet to start the year. We got a very late start, but they're all doing fantastic. So glad we grew a variety of them. We've been loving them. Highly recommend you guys start growing some peppers if your climate is good enough for it. One thing I thought I'd never be able to grow was watermelon. My dad and I tried to grow watermelon for years when I was a kid. It just never seemed to get hot enough over here. He's from Minnesota, so they did pretty good there, but we never had any luck with watermelon or cantaloupe, not till he moved to eastern Washington and got a lot more sun than us. So the fact that we've got a little watermelon tree here, pretty cool. I'm sure Dad would like it. So thanks for coming by, you guys. I hope that you enjoy the tour of our garden. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe down below. If you got any questions about any of the stuff that we showed off today or that you saw in the background or whatever, we're happy to help you do whatever we can. For more gardening tips, you can follow us on our website. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all over the place. Happy growing, you guys.